Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25, episode 24. I've gone forward one day. One freaking day. I was going to go forward weeks. I go forward one day, and in that one day, our crazy start to the season got significantly crazier. Our injury list was already mounting, it was already being problematic, and it got 50% worse. Probably more than 50% worse on merit, because we now have 6 injured players. That's 23% of our roster. 23% of our roster is now injured a month into the season. 4 of our 6 most important players. All that's left is Denzel Clark and Estuary Ruiz. 4 of our best 6 players: Mason Miller, Suarez, Geloff. Now Arraez is out. Oblique strain for Arraez, out for 3 weeks. Added to that list at the same time is Jake Cousins, who's been a good reliever for us. Last season, 3.87 ERA, 69 games with a 5-2 record. He was easily one of our best bullpen players. I didn't count him on our list, though. So far this season, not great numbers, but so far this season we're 8-20. Nothing has been great this season. And the mounting injuries is insane. We have a bunch of guys who have very limited major league experience, who were very much backups, who were guys that I was more than happy to store away in AAA, now playing and making appearances in the major league roster. We suddenly have 4 guys that are only 2-star talents in the major league roster. This is the worst our roster has looked in a while, and it's because, we're missing a quarter of our team. Let's push forward, and 3 of them are due back in a week at least. 3 days later, another injury. Injury number 7 now. He's a day-to-day, 1 to 2 weeks. I'm going to leave him. I'm going to leave him out there. Urias is back from his injury. Mason Miller is now back from his injury. We're at 9-25. We've pulled 2 wins and 5 more losses over the last 7. But 2 of the guys that we called up, German and Estrada, 2 of the older guys, 2 of the 2-star guys or 2.5-star guys, I've had to place them both on waivers. They're out of options. So putting them on waivers is putting them at risk. So far, neither has been picked up before we can put them back at AAA. We'll see how things go with that. Both Estrada and German refused their assignments, and so I was forced into releasing them both. So we just lost $1 million in salary that they are still owed. And lost out on those 2 players, and as nobody wanted them, I couldn't get a trade out of them either. But at least we've got 2 and actually a 3rd player back now. We're down to 3 on the injured list, and suddenly we've started winning games. In fact, we've won 4 in a row. From 9-20, we're now 17-27. That's 8-7 over our last 15, meaning we actually have a winning record over a stretch of time and are closing in a little bit. And actually, for a moment, we were like 17-25. We've lost the last couple of games, so things are going so much better. Arraez, 1 day till he returns from his injury, dropping us to 2, except, new injury, Mitch Spence. But it's elbow inflammation. It's 4 days. 4 days for that injury. So as we are getting healthy once again, things are definitely going better for us in the short term. With the return of Arraez, I need to go back down to 13 pitchers. I had gone to 14 when he got injured with the versatility, and I had enough guys in return, but I don't have anybody left from the lineup section, from the batters, that I want to eliminate. So I want to get back to 13-13, which means somebody's got to go. Brady Basso's got to stay, as bad as he's probably been doing. Actually, he's not doing bad. Not doing bad, but he was some of his games. He was in the bullpen there for a bit, but 407. Hernandez now 347. Mason Miller 5.5, but he's only done 5 games. And he had a really bad first one. 5.5 for JP Sears. Mitch Spence 405. The starters are helping bring us up. A lot of these wins that we've had here lately seem to be related to the starting lineup doing pretty dang well. Sam Buchanan did start the season down at AAA, started well, but in 10 games, 3.0 ERA, 12 innings. Dylan Coleman, 3.15. Jack Cushing's doing okay. Urseg's doing okay. Angel Felipe is doing great. Alec Jacob is doing really well. Martinez was not doing well at AAA. He's the guy we brought up, but in 9 innings, a 0.93 ERA. He's only given up 1 run in 5 games. Colby White is doing well. Joe Boyle is doing well. None of them are doing poorly. Not one is doing poorly. I don't know if there's somebody I want to bring down. Maybe I need to pull somebody who's struggling here to make room for the return of a Reyes. That would be. It would have to be one of the outfielders. Armenteros, 200. Not putting up good numbers. Rojas, not doing great, but we brought him in for a batting average and really good defense. He's still providing us that really good defense, I would imagine. I think I need to look at these guys a little more closely. Denzel Clark's doing all right, plus giving us a good defense. Herberto Hernandez, he's actually batting okay because it's the defense that worries me. And Ruiz, 193. Maybe it's Ruiz that needs to go down right now. Get some time in AAA, get that back going, bring him back up. Stolen bases are nice and all, but on base percentage is a little better. He is drawing some walks, but he's having a bit of a stinker right now. Let's go ahead and put him down in AAA. There you go. There's our space. June 1st, 21-32, 4-5 over the last 9. Look, things seem to have stabilized. We're playing that near 500 ball these days. Much better than our awful start to the season that we had. We can play 500 ball for a while. I don't see why we can't climb. In fact, we've already gone from dead last in the division to 4th in the division. We're making progress. We'll look at those standings in a second. But Denzel Clark, current gap rating drops from a 65 to 60. But overall, and potential rating improved to a 3.5. So Denzel Clark now seen as a 3.5, though his ratings dropped. Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense. Brian De La Cruz down in AAA drops his rating. Victor Robles, though, has gone from contact from a 50 to a 55, but his defense drops. Not a good trade-off there. He's kind of the guy waiting in the wings at 29 who was next. Estes, current stamina has improved, but potential movement drops. Jose Rodriguez, that's a good one. Current contact from a 35 to a 40. Power from a 60 to a 65. This is one of my top prospects. Current I rating from a 40 to a 45. Potential I rating drops from a 55 to a 50, though, as he kind of narrows in on what his potential might be. But again, he made progress towards his potential. And current gap rating improves from a 40 to 45. 4 out of 5 things go in the right direction. And at just 20 years of age, potential always seems to slink off a little bit. So that's good. That's development. Jose Rodriguez now looking at a current 2-star with a potential still of 3 stars. Potential still plus 10 to power. He's going to hit the ball a long ways. In fact, he has hit the ball a long ways. He's at his 2nd year now in AA. He went up last year partway through the year, and I think he might be needing to go up again here pretty dang soon because in just 45 games, he's already hit 17 home runs at this level. Already has 30 RBI, and he's hitting 261. So he's really improved the average and the on base while having a strong slugging percentage. I mean, that's what on base plus slugging is, like almost a 1.0. I think it's time to bring Jose Rodriguez up. Oh, he's only at high A too. High A. He's not at AA. He's at high A. It's clearly time to bring him up to AA. Viella, couple things going up, but potential drops off, and now he's a 1.5 star kind of guy. Down in the rookie league. And Encinas, down at the rookie league. 18-year-old, movement, stamina, velocity all going up, but his potential rating drops. Yeah, sure, makes sense. Houston got back above us. We've lost 4 in a row. Ooh, ouch. We were up to 21-28 there for a moment. But 4 in a row has dropped us down just a bit here. Still looking better than it was. I mean, look how far above the Yankees we are. 29th in offense for the Yankees, 15-36. Oh, my heart does flutter. All right, let me level with you. It's my team, Seattle Mariners. Who's their number one rival? It's the New York Yankees. Why? Because, well, there is no regional rival. There's Seattle, and then there's nothing around. There's no teams near us. There's California teams, but there's lots of California teams, and there's no diehard rivalry with any of them. Colorado, I mean, come on, get real. They're on the other side of the mountains. They're on the other side of the Rockies. Nobody gives a damn about the Rockies or any Midwest team in the Northwest. All right, we got our team. Why are the Yankees the rival? Let me break it down for you and this answer is probably different for different people, but let me break it down in a logical manner for you. There's haves and there's have-nots. The Mariners are a have-not. They've been an underdog every year in existence. Every freaking year in existence. They won 116 games in 2000. 2000, I think? Or was it 02? Semantics. Okay, but 95. Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner. That is the Seattle Mariners team, the best team they've ever put forward. And it was the Yankees. That mid-90s, that was the Yankees with their insane payroll, just miles and miles beyond what anybody else was paying anybody. That was the team that everybody loved to hate. It was that Yankees, unless you were a Yankees fan. Like, everybody else hated that team because, jealousy and whatnot. And just why should they have so much more than everybody else? And that was the team that everybody loved to hate. Just like everybody loves to hate the Lakers, or just loves the Lakers because, around the world, that's the only team that's marketed, and that's the team that LeBron James plays on, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's kind of simple. The Yankees are the big team that everybody hates. So for the Mariners, that's the team we've always hated. That's the team that spends just insane amounts of money, and they've always been that way. Therefore, you hate them. That's the team that you love to hate because they have the payroll that nobody else has. They're the big dogs that you want to tear down. And that's always been that team for me. That's always been. I love a good underdog story. I love taking the lowest payroll team from the ground up and turning them into somebody who's competitive. Ninth in ERA, ninth in Ks. I don't know why our defensive efficiency is so bad, though. I've been improving the defensive efficiency. It should be better than it is, but it's still 20th. Home runs is now 20th. Average is now 22nd. Runs is 26th. That's actually the best our offense has been in the 3 years that we have been playing this, and that's the best our offense has been. There is no reason for us to be as bad as we have been. But of course, it just stemmed from a terrible start and a crazy number of injuries, which is cleaning up. It's getting better. And until 4 days ago, we were up to 21-28. We've been playing above 500 for a while. And even then, we're still playing above 500 from where we were at the end of the first month. Over the last month, we still played better than 500 ball, even with these 4 straight losses. We'll bounce back from this. We'll start getting some wins again. But if we can play slightly above 500 ball, there's no reason why we can't catch up to the Angels and Rangers. And, you've only got the one team in the AL West this year. Anyway, that's really dominating. And, maybe we could find ourselves somewhere up around second or third. We've never finished out of last place in the division, right? I mean, we beat one team, 2 teams in all of baseball last year. Right now we're beating the Royals. Right now we're beating the Yankees. Sorry. I love to see it. I know they're probably the number one most popular team around the world, but haves and have-nots. I like the have-nots, not the haves. Blue Jays, we're half a game behind them, but there's the Phillies. We're just behind them. We're kind of in a similar territory, but we are a team based on offense and defense. We should be about an average ranking of those, which means kind of should be a team that's playing about 500 ball. And our prediction for the year is something similar. We should be playing about 500 ball. And for the last month anyway, we have been. And you take away those 4 losses and just go back to the 21 and 28, like, we're starting to pass up some teams. We're getting there. This was the year that I was starting to expect us to be competitive. This was the year that we've made enough changes to the roster that we're starting to get there. This is the year that our minor league system has jumped from the bottom of the barrel to 11th. New signing Sarabia. He's in 155 right now, but he's number 3. Jose Rodriguez is climbing. He's now in AA. Joey Estes is close to AAA. In fact, he should be in AAA now, but there's just been a lack of... I've had too much going on. Speaking of AAA, 32 and 19. Like, we got some guys that can ball in AAA that are just about as good as the guys that are above them. Almost. But we already kind of saw what happened with a number of injuries. But AA, high A are all looking good. It's our A-ball team that's struggling. We're first place in all 3 of those divisions. All win percentages over 600. Okay, our regular A team is still struggling. But our rookie ball team, they're 19 and 6. The Dominican League's not playing right now, but this is a sign. This is a sign of the progress we have made. We are getting in the right direction, and a couple of our best players are down in that international. Kind of curious to see where we're at with that one right now. It's thinned out a bit. Just 24 players here at the moment, all needing some scouting. So let's go ahead and get that scouting report going. I'm still trying to refresh the scouting reports throughout the organization, but Wilson Del Sol, Jorge Mesquita, plus Jesus Harazo and Luis Ramos. There's some good prospects here, and it's only half full at the moment, so we've got room for more guys coming in. We've really come a long ways, and looking back, not at positions, but let's look at the overall side here for a second. AAA, a lot of talent. There's 1.5 star reliever. He doesn't belong there, but everybody else apparently can play. Like, this is what our major league roster looked like on day 1 at the start of this series. It was a bunch of 2-star guys and a few 2.5 stars, and that was like it. I think we had a single 3-star talent. That's now our AAA. But AA, like, this is the scary one for me. It almost looks the same. It almost looks the same, except for the last handful of guys are 1.5 star guys. But wait, our high A, bunch of 2-star guys. Lots of 1.5 star. Only a few, and really just the catchers for the most part, that lack. Then you get down to the A ball, and this is where we have issues. There's a few guys that could play here. There's definitely a few, but it drops off pretty quick. And then there's a lot of high potential players that are getting some experience that don't really belong playing A ball, but I want them playing every day. But we still got 41 down at the rookie level. Less of them with the potential. I've got more of the potential kind of tucked away over here. Same with the Dominican League. Got a few guys, but none of them can play right now. There are actually a handful of players down to this rookie level, but Parker Messick apparently is the only one who's ready to go up. So if he's ready, I might as well bring him up. I don't know how ready he looks, but we'll bring him up anyway. All 5 of our AA starting pitchers are ready for call-ups, but look how much of our AAA roster is ready for call-ups. Most of them are ready to come up, and that's kind of the problem, is we just don't have the space. But all of those players, like, I'd love to start trading them out. And the problem is I've been trying, but what I've been trying so far is I've been going after these guys that are older. Because the younger ones, right, you want to keep them around. You want Luperfino, who we actually just traded for, who's got a 70 defense and, apparently is ready to come up. I'd love to have those guys in the organization because they can come in and make an impact, like Urias has done exactly that. He's not a guy that... What's his background? Yeah, free agent signing in 24. So this is somebody I brought in. This is somebody I brought into the system at the end of our first season as a minor league free agent signing. Let's push forward a little bit further. The team is doing much better. We're down to 2 injuries in Jake Cousins and Jose Suarez. Jose Suarez, a big miss. Both of them are out long term for the time being. So as long as we can stay healthy for a little while, we're looking much better. I've already entered the All-Star voting period, but I'm going to hold off a little while. I usually do it at the beginning, and it's so early in the season, and things change. I'm going to wait a little bit. First year player draft is also, like, we've got nothing doing for the next month or so. Let's at least get a couple more weeks going and see if the team can continue the trend of 500 ball and whether we can start winning again, after 4 straight losses. Wow. Joe Boyle, 40 saves in a row. That's a nice streak right there. Middle of the month now, 26-40. Not a great record, but we definitely stabilized. The offense is still iffy. Defense is up to 8th now. Offense is actually up a spot to 25th overall. 1 game behind the Astros. Half a game ahead of the Royals, so they caught fire. Definitely a few games ahead of the Yankees, and we are ahead of the Blue Jays now as well. So we have moved up a little bit there. Meanwhile, the National League, we're actually still last behind all of them. So it's not like we have some amazing record. We're still 4th worst. But from where we started, right? We were minus 13 games right off the bat. Minus 13 games within the first month. We have not played terribly well the last couple of weeks, but still at 26-40 is virtually 500 since then. Right? We're 1 more game lost than we were. And like I said, we've had a couple of streaks. We had that 4 in a row lost. We started to get a couple. Now we've lost 3 in a row again. Here these last couple of weeks, it's not pretty. We're not playing pretty baseball right now. We're still playing ugly. Our offense, our lineups are still a problem. Geloff's now considered a 3.5-star guy, as is Denzel Clark. Definitely looking better there. But the comparison now, how are these guys doing? Jeffers having a freaking terrible run and costing us $4 million. He's definitely going to be out at the end of the season. Nobody wants to sign this guy, as he's going to be. So we're in the market for a new catcher, especially when Langoliers is getting weaker and weaker. He went from 249, 248 to now 232. On base is consistent, but his slugging, it's down a little bit. He's not doing terrible, but catcher is still something we definitely need an answer. But Geloff, he's doing good, folks. He is doing very good. 331, 391 on base, 462 slugging. Like, he's having a good time. Vientos is struggling a little bit, and he's been disappointing, right? This is somebody we spent a fair bit of capital on to bring in as a future prospect. I've forgotten who it was now, but our first big time player, but had the arbitration and huge pay raise, and we brought him in anyway. But with the huge pay raise, we dumped him off. It's Vientos that we got in return. Pretty disappointing that he has not been very good. But Urias, okay. Definitely just okay. Morrill with minor injury, but 221. Yeah, he's been okay. Also, just okay. Crawford, getting slowly worse and worse, and we're definitely letting him go at the end of the year with that $11 million. So that's $15 million that we're freeing up at the end of this season. But Armenteros, just 205. Definitely struggling now. He's doing worse than he was, but his on base is definitely a lot higher, but no slugging. But he's at least a good defensive option. Rojas is doing all right. Should be hitting the ball better than he is, though. I mean, with contact 60. But Rojas was a decent signing for us. Or no, how did I get Rojas in? Trade with Philly. And wasn't a costly one. I think it was like a bullpen guy and Brian Wilson and De Los Santos. So De Los Santos was our more expensive bullpen guy and older that we signed. Came in, did a year for us, and we were able to move him on without him costing us too much. Wilson has been a decent starter for us. He wasn't great. He was a middle of the rotation guy, but he was getting more expensive. So both of them were guys that were costing us too much, and we were able to trade him for Rojas, and Rojas is doing great. I wish he was hitting the ball a little bit better because he should be hitting 300 or thereabouts, but the 244 is a little down. But very good defender and can definitely get on base, and he's, remember, we are better than we were, and he's definitely showing that, and he's only 25. And then of course Denzel Clark is doing well. Reyes 273 is certainly doing okay. Not what I expected for the $8 million signing and giving up a third round pick, but certainly okay. I'd almost want a Reyes as your DH. If I were coaching the team right now, Geloff would be back at third and Morrow would be on the bench. But I guess Hernandez isn't much for defense either. So we've got a bit of a hole in right field. Armenteros, if he was hitting the ball better, you'd want him out there. But that's your kind of your defensive sub, I would imagine. Except for there's no defensive sub slated. I would certainly. But they got Vientos at DH, Reyes in right, Clark in left, Clark in center, Rojas left, Crawford at short, Morrill at third, Urias at second, Geloff at first. The Morrill one is probably your biggest weakness, and your batting lineup, at least versus righties, Geloff first these days, Reyes second, Clark third, and Crawford fourth. That's a decent lineup compared to what we've had in the past few seasons. But then Morrill at fifth, but that's because he's the power guy, right? He's not hitting the ball terribly well, but that slugging at 489 is what's really helping us out, and that's why Morrill's getting into this lineup, and he's okay defensively with that 50. It's kind of a plus for us, and we're seeing somebody else come up the ranks pretty soon who can fill that slot. So I guess Morrill's not an issue. Morrill's hitting the ball a long ways, and he's getting RBI. He's cleaning those guys up. He doesn't get on base a whole lot. His average isn't great. Wish for another 20 to 30 points from him, but he's hitting the ball a long way, and he's already got 37 RBI for us, and that's helping. Urias, there's your other problem, though, is he's pretty mediocre. Vientos has been mediocre. Rojas is doing pretty okay, but should be doing better. And then Langlier's at the end of the lineup. This is still better than we've looked the last 2 years. For now, I'll take it. 30 and 43 now. Another week, late in June. We're getting closer to that All-Star game. I'm going to go ahead and do my All-Star voting now. Tiedemann, best wins above replacement. 3 for the ERA and a low whip. Espino with a 1.95 ERA was my second pick, and Briscoe with a 2.63 ERA, 7-2 record, and a really, really low whip for Detroit is my third starting pitcher. I'm only going to do the American League. Time to pick my relievers. Blue Jays closer, Edwin Diaz, 17 saves, an ERA under 1, and a whip under 1. He's been absolutely dominating. Clay Holmes for the Rangers, 15 saves, 0.42 ERA, and a 0.74 whip. That's insane. And the third dominating closer has been Andres Munoz for the Mariners with a 1.5 ERA and just over 1 for a whip, bringing in that third spot. Our closer has certainly been good in Joe Boyle, but not that level of good. He's still got an ERA under 3 and a low whip, but just not the insanity of these other guys. Bo Naylor for the Guardians has the best wins above replacement at the catcher position and 12 home runs, so he's hitting the ball a long way as well. Close second pick is Jonah Heim. Spencer Torkelson at first base for the Tigers has been doing the best, 17 home runs, 3.0 wins above replacement, hitting nearly 300. Second base is a little more wide open. Reyes is certainly doing good, but he missed quite a bit of time here. Caminero with a 365 average, and just insane numbers here. I mean, he is doing so well. Jackson Holiday certainly looks nice and could be an easy pick, but with Caminero's average especially, you got to go with him. Bregman looks really good, but Jordan Westberg, even better for the Orioles, hitting 299, 15 homers, 2.6 wins above replacement. A lot of good third basemen in the league. A trend I'm noticing in a lot of my guys is they at least have positive wins above replacement. Very few players starting for each team has a negative wins above replacement for their batters, but I'm used to having that. I'm used to having a lot of guys near that 0 or maybe slightly negative. We're only slightly positive, but it is better than where we've been. Our offense has been so bad for the last few years. Having a J.P. Crawford who's, just ho-hum, but at least 0.5 positive has been kind of groundbreaking for us, but it's not getting us all-star selections. It's been a quiet couple years for Corey Seager, but he's looking good this year. Again, Rojas, not having a great season, but he's a plus 0.8. Riley Green, Colton Cowser, both looking a bit better, but I think Riley Green gets my pick. I finally have an all-star caliber player in Denzel Clark. 273 average, 11 homers, 11 stolen bases, 2.9 wins above replacement. That's good enough to get a pick. Except that the player who's clear MVP favorite for the American League right now is Julio Rodriguez, hitting 344 with 30 home runs and 8 stolen bases and a good glove and a 5.9 wins above replacement. Easy pick. I'm going to go ahead and vote for Denzel Clark. He deserves to be an all-star. Julio Rodriguez should be getting my pick. I mean, this should be it should be unanimous. And he does secretly get my vote, but, I've got to pick Denzel Clark. It's the one player who actually deserves to go. Because there's nothing in right field that matches this. So Clark should start in, say, right field. Things definitely aren't perfect, but our pitching staff is doing well. Top 10 for the first time, and even our offense has made improvements. They're not great, but they've made improvements. We've steadied the ship, and I'm happy with where we're at the moment. I wish we could take back that season opening stretch because we've literally been 500 in the 2 months since after that 7-20 start. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.